dear, where am I? I'm good to go
Senator,
live. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll move the nominations.
Thank you very much.
Senator Rafferty, we are live.
Thank you very much, Eli. I appreciate it. And good morning, folks, and welcome to the Maine's 130th State Legislature. My name is Joe Rafferty, and I am the Senate Chair for the Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs. We're meeting this morning to hold some public hearings relative to considerations for nominations of the governor, and we'll get to those very shortly. Prior to doing so, I'd just like to have folks in our committee. I'll give them an opportunity to say hello. I will start with our House Chair, Representative Brennan.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty. Good morning. My name is Michael Brennan. I represent District 36, which is part of Portland.
Thank you. And Senator Daughtry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very excited this morning to not be tied up in labor and actually be here with all of you. I represent Senate District 24, which are the communities of Harpswell, Freeport, Brunswick, North Yarmouth, and Pownell. And I can't remember if I said my name because I think we're all in the same headspace, Senator Rafferty. So I am Maddie Daughtry, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being with us. And Senator Woodson.
Good morning, Dave Woodson, Senate District 33, which is in the northwestern part of York County along the New Hampshire border.
Thank you, sir. And Representative Dodge.
Good morning, I'm Jan Dodge. I represent House District 97, Belfast, Northport, and Waldo. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative McCray. He probably lost some service at this time. I will come back to him. Representative Roach.
Good morning, everyone. Representative Tim Roach, District 7, Wells.
Thank you. Representative Salisbury.
Morning, I'm Sue Salisbury, and I represent House District 35, which is part of Westbrook.
Thank you. And Representative Stearns.
Good morning. My name is Paul Stearns. I represent House District 119 in Piscataquis County.
Thank you. And also offering a great deal of assistance this morning will be our committee clerk, Eli Murphy. Good morning, Eli, and thank you. So folks, keep in mind that this is a public hearing relative to some appointments to various committees, which we'll get to shortly, but this is also a meeting that is done by Zoom. Some of you as currently are in the audience, and as you transition in to perhaps speak relative to one of the nominations, there is a slight delay in that process. Eli will help you manage your way through it. And this morning's hearings there are four. First up this morning, and I'll give you the overall order would be Patrick Flood, then Ryan Haffner, Jane Gilbert, and Kate Rush. So we'll go in that order. And I have a meeting going on behind me. It's like, I got to quiet her down just a minute, please. It's going to be hard.
While we are waiting, in the attendees list, I see two Patrick Floods. Would the individual who is the nominee please raise your virtual hand so I know which one to move over when the time comes? Thank you.
And thank you all. So we'll get started with Mr. Flood. So this is, again, folks, this is a public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs. It is for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Patrick S.A. Flood of Saco for appointment to the University of Maine System Board of Trustees. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which requires that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair would now recognize Representative Brennan for the purpose of making such a nomination.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs recommend confirmation of the Honorable Patrick Flood of Saco for appointment to the University of Maine System Board of Trustees.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Senator Woodson. And at this time, I recognize that a representative from the governor's office, Mr. Jerry Reed. I will recognize him for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you. Good morning, Senator Rafferty, Representative Brennan, and members of the Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs. My name is Jerry Reed. I'm counsel to Governor Mills, and it's a pleasure for me to be here this morning with you to ask for your support for the governor's nomination of the Honorable Patrick Flood of Saco for appointment to the University of Maine System Board of Trustees. The University of Maine System Board of Trustees consists of 16 members, 15 members appointed by the governor and the Commissioner of Education, who serves ex officio. The board is responsible for oversight of the system in areas such as academic programs, faculty tenure, tuition rates, and operating budgets. Patrick Flood is a graduate of Syracuse University and the State University of New York's College of Environmental Science and Forestry with a degree in natural resource management. Upon graduation, he began a 30-year career with International Paper, holding various management positions and retiring in 2004. As many of you know, Mr. Flood also served 10 years in the Maine legislature, both House and Senate, concluding in 2015. While in the legislature, he served 4 terms on the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee, including 1 term as chair. In that capacity, he worked with representatives of the Maine Community College System, the University of Maine System, and local school districts to understand and meet their funding needs. During this time, he received numerous awards for his work as a policymaker from a diverse group of organizations, including the Maine Association for Community Service Providers, New England Waterworks Association, the Maine Forest Products Association, and the Maine Developmental Disabilities Council. Mr. Flood also served several years on the Board of Visitors at the University of Maine at Augusta, and he's been active in his community, volunteering with a variety of organizations such as the Augusta-based Domestic Violence Project, Friends of Cobbossee Lakes, and the Autism Society of Maine. Patrick Flood is a dedicated public servant with an in-depth knowledge of the financial realities of Maine's university system. He's earned a reputation as a problem solver and consensus builder who knows how to get things done. He has consistently inspired the trust and confidence of those who have worked closely with him. He would be an outstanding addition to the University of Maine System Board of Trustees. And on behalf of the governor, I respectfully ask for your support for his nomination. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee may have of me.
Thank you. Folks, any questions of Mr. Reed regarding the nomination of Mr. Flood at this time? Seeing none, I would now like to recognize Patrick Flood for the purpose of making a statement concerning his nomination.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty. Can you hear me okay?
We're getting a little bit of feedback, sir. I'm not sure if it's on your end or not.
Okay, give me 1 second. I got another device. And thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Rafferty and Representative Brennan and members of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs. My name's Patrick Flood. I live in Saco. I'm here today as a nominee for the University of Maine System Board of Trustees. I was very pleased and surprised to receive the nomination. I'd worked with Governor Mills during my time in the legislature. In fact, we were both committee members of the Appropriations Committee in the 123rd. I served 8 years on that committee, 2 years as co-chair, working with all of our state agencies, including the community college system, University of Maine system, and K through 12 education. Our committees tried to achieve the best balance of funding for all these important organizations, and I felt it was always important to have a willingness to listen and to seek out the best answers to the problems that came before us. I believe that's what we were appointed to do. I served several years on the University of Maine at Augusta Board of Visitors, and I believe I had a productive working relationship with my colleagues in the legislature and at UMA. And if confirmed, I would try first to listen and learn from the current members of the board, several who I am proud to know, and then try to help the board in the same manner as my work at the legislature. My focus will always be student-based. I feel that the board's efforts should seek to bolster the students and their chances for success. I'm proud that my daughter Bria and my son Ben are both graduates of the University of Maine at Orono. They got excellent educations that prepared them for very successful careers. I'm even prouder of the fact that my wife Marjorie is a non-traditional graduate of both UMA and the University of Maine at Farmington. She also was well prepared for her career. The university did a lot for my family, and I'd like to pay it back with service, and I hope that I can help at the Board of Trustees. It would be an honor to serve, and I try to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. And committee members, are there any questions of Mr. Flood at this time relative to the nomination? Seeing none, sir. Just as a matter of formality, the committee has opportunity to receive written testimony from folks relative to the nomination, or they could be present here to speak, having registered in advance. But I'm aware that we don't have anyone at this time, but that is part of the process that we would normally be doing now. But saying that we don't have any outside speakers, we're going to move forward. So having received some input and reviewing that, the committee's had an opportunity to review that. We will work towards a vote on the nomination and notify the president of the Senate. So at this time, I will call the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs for the appointment of Patrick Flood of Saco for appointment to the University of Maine System Board of Trustees is closed. As we move towards taking the vote, it'll be in accordance with the law. The committee may not take a vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing, unless all committee members who are present agree. And at this time, do I have any member that would object to proceeding to take the vote immediately? Anyone in objection to doing so? Thank you. Seeing no objections, the pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Patrick Flood of Saco for appointment to the University of Maine System Board of Trustees be confirmed. So in accordance with the rules, the joint rules of the 130th Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor, a vote of no will be against. Is the committee ready for the question? Which they are by the general nodding and thumbs up. So I will ask at this time if Mr. Murphy, if you would be kind enough to call the roll.
My apologies. I'm working with Representative McCray to get his camera up and running. In the confirmation of Patrick Flood for the University of Maine System Board of Trustees, Senator Rafferty.
Yay.
Senator Rafferty votes yay. Senator Daughtry.
Yay.
Senator Daughtry votes yay. Senator Woodson.
Yes.
Senator Woodson votes yes. Representative Brennan.
Yes, I served with Representative Flood, and I'm glad he's willing to step into this capacity, and I vote yes for his confirmation.
I'm good.
Representative Brennan votes yes. Representative Crockett. Representative Crockett is absent. Representative Dodge.
Yay.
Representative Dodge votes yay. Representative Lyman. Representative Lyman is absent. Representative McCray.
Yes, after many travels and adventures, I am here and glad to vote yay.
Representative McCray votes yay. Representative Millette. Representative Millette is absent. Representative Roach. Representative Roach is absent. Representative Salisbury.
Yes.
Representative Salisbury votes yes. Representative Sampson. Representative Sampson is absent. Representative Stearns.
Yay.
Representative Stearns votes yay. The votes are 8 yay and 5 absent.
Well, with 8 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and none in the negative, it is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs that the nomination of Patrick Flood of Saco for appointment to the University of Maine System Board of Trustees be confirmed. Congratulations, Mr. Flood, and thank you very much for taking this on after all your time in legislature and service. You're willing to do more, and that speaks well to who you are. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you folks this morning by Zoom. It's going to be an honor to serve. Thanks very much.
And good luck to you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Thank you all. Hope you have a great day.
You as well, sir. So, folks in the audience that may be just joining us, again, we are here to hold public hearings with the Education and Cultural Affairs Committee. We are going to start our second public hearing. This specific hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs is for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Ryan Haffner of Hamden for the appointment to the State Board of Education. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which requires there be an affirmative motion to recommend the confirmation of the nominee, I would like to recognize Representative Brennan for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs recommend confirmation of Mr. Ryan Haffner of Hamden for appointment to the State Board of Education.
Thank you very much. And with us this morning is Melissa O'Neill Lowe. She is speaking as a representative of Governor Mills for the purpose of making the statement concerning this nomination. At this time, I'd like to welcome her. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty, Representative Brennan, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs. My name is Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Ryan Haffner of Hamden as a member of the Maine State Board of Education as a student member. Maine State Board of Education can be found in Maine Revised Statutes under Title 20A, Chapter 5, Section 401. The board consists of 9 voting members and 2 non-voting student members. 4 of these members must reside in the state's 1st Congressional District, and 4 others reside in the state's 2nd Congressional District. all appointed by the governor. Ryan Heffner of Hamden is being nominated to seat number 10, which requires that the nominee be a student enrolled in good standing in a public high school in the state's 2nd congressional district, have completed 10th grade prior to the commencement of his term, and provide at least 3 references from teachers in the school he attends. Ryan hails from Hamden Academy, where he is an honors and AP student as a sophomore and at the top of his class. As you undoubtedly read in several of Ryan's recommendations from his teachers and administrators at Hamden Academy, his academic profile is second to none. He is taking classes, specifically APUSH, that are designed for juniors and seniors, and he is thriving. In addition, he is known to constantly seek out new challenges and opportunities in which he can grow and learn. In particular, seeking out academic challenges outside of his schoolwork, enrolling in online courses in macroeconomics, and has schooled himself on the new way of the future in terms of market exchange and cryptocurrency by learning about cryptocurrency and the variations of that. It is reported that Ryan approaches his peers and adults alike with respect, active engagement, and attention. He is a member of the Hamden Academy Student Council, the tennis team, Key Club, Spanish Club, Jazz Band, and the Beekeeping Club. He recently, this past fall, was awarded Best Student of the Quarter at Hamden Academy and has remained on high honors while balancing his academics, co-curricular activities, a worldwide pandemic, and life. As noted in his background materials, Ryan is also a natural leader, having been involved in organizations such as Boy Scouts of America, Key Club International, and was a volunteer at the Bangor Challenger Learning Center, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on teaching elementary and middle school age children the importance of STEM. And as Ryan notes, and I quote, an endeavor he is very passionate about. We believe that his excellent academic profile, civic engagement, and community leadership will lend a positive perspective to the State Board of Education. And for these reasons and many more, it is on behalf of the governor that I would ask for your support in the nomination of Ryan Heffner of Hampton to the State Board of Education. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you. And folks on the committee, any questions of Ms. O'Neill at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much for that. I will now recognize Ryan Heffner for the purpose of making a statement concerning his nomination.
Senator Rafferty, Representative Brennan, esteemed members of the Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs, it's an honor to be here. My name is Ryan Heffner from Hamden, and I'm here today to discuss with you my nomination to the student member position on the Maine State Board of Education. I'm currently a sophomore at Hamden Academy, a public high school serving over 800 students from Hamden, Newburgh, Frankfort, Winterport, and the surrounding towns. When I first heard of this position, I was immediately interested in the potential it presented for me to bring the voices of students from my community and beyond to those making the decisions on the board. For the past 5 years, I've served on the student council of schools I've attended, working to prioritize student voices and find creative solutions to problems. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to connect with the student body and work with school administrators. I'm looking to bring that experience and passion with me into this position to ensure every student in Maine receives a quality education. I know firsthand the issues facing Maine students, and I'm thrilled at the opportunity to present those issues as well as solutions to the board on a regular basis. Throughout my experiences in school, like Student Council, Tri-M Honor Society, and Key Club, as well as out of school, such as my role in the Boy Scouts of America, I've learned the value and meaning of leadership. I've found that the best leaders look towards their peers for input, and I intend to do exactly that in this position, taking the voices of my peers and teachers to the board in order to ensure that Maine schools are some of the best in the nation. Thank you for your time and consideration of my nomination.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Appreciate that. And questions, folks, from any committee members? Yes, sir. Representative Brennan, followed by Representative Stearns.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty and Mr. Hefner. Thank you for being with us today and for agreeing to take on this position. I noticed that you're in the jazz band. What instrument do you play?
I play clarinet.
Oh, great, great. And I also noticed that you're a member of the beekeeping club, but I'm going to leave that to Representative Stearns to ask a question about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Stearns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Chair Brennan, for allowing me to speak to beekeeping. Mr. Hafner, I'm also a Hamden Academy Bronco of the class of '73, and I do keep bees. And I'd like to tell you that I played the radio in high school, which is not quite as advanced as a jazz band, but I am delighted to listen to your resume and qualifications, and I wish you the very best of luck. And thank you for coming before the committee this morning.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
And Ryan, you should understand that was AM channels only. Any other questions, folks? Thank you. So at this time, we've had an opportunity to review hear Ryan's testimony. We've heard and read some letters of commendation for the nomination, and folks have an opportunity to speak. But we did not have anyone register in advance in order to do so. So that said, the public comments have had an opportunity to be considered, and we have read those nomination papers that have come in. So in hearing, I will actually at this time then call a closure so that the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs for the appointment of Ryan Hafner to the for appointment to the State Board of Education is closed. We're going to move forward in terms of in order to take the vote currently in accordance with law, the committee may not take the vote for the nomination any sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing, unless the committee members who are present agree. Are there any committee members that do not want to proceed at this time? Seeing no objections, then the pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature the nomination of Ryan Hafner of Hamden for appointment to the State Board of Education be confirmed. In accordance with the rules of the 130th Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and the nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of the recommendation recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the vote? And I would ask then at this time, Mr. Murphy, if you would be kind enough to please call the roll.
Absolutely. And my apologies. Would it be possible to get a second for Representative Brennan's motion, please?
Thank you very much. We had a number of them. I heard a vocal was Senator Woodson.
Thank you.
And thank you for remembering that.
In the confirmation of Ryan Hafner to the State Board of Education, Senator Rafferty.
Yay.
Senator Rafferty votes yay. Senator Daughtry.
A very enthusiastic yay.
Senator Daughtry votes yay. Senator Woodson.
Yes.
Senator Woodson votes yes. Representative Brennan.
Yes, on a positive note, I vote yes.
Representative Brennan votes yes. Representative Crockett. Representative Crockett is absent. Representative Dodge.
Gratefully, yay.
Representative Dodge votes yay. Representative Lyman. Representative Lyman is absent. Representative McCray.
An enthusiastic yay.
Representative McCray votes yay. Representative Millett.
Yes.
Representative Millett votes yes. Representative Roach.
Yes.
Representative Roach votes yes. Representative Salisbury.
Yes.
Representative Salisbury votes yes. Representative Sampson. Representative Sampson is absent. Representative Stearns.
Yes.
Representative Stearns votes yes. The votes are 10 yes with 3 absent.
Thank you, Eli. So 10 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and none in the negative, it is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs that the nomination of Ryan Hafner of Hamden for appointment to the State Board of Education be confirmed. Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Yeah, well, you have a very impressive resume for such a young person, and your approach to education and the value of education that you've expressed are quite evident. And someday I may be watching, probably not one of these Zooms. It might be in another format by then, but you may be find yourself serving on this committee at some point. So, but good luck with us moving forward. We wish you well.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. We're going to move into our next hearing. This public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Jane L. Gilbert of Augusta for appointment to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the statutes, which require there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, I would like to recognize Representative Brennan for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs recommend confirmation of Ms. Jane L. Gilbert of Augusta for appointment to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative McCray. Thank you both. At this time, I would like to recognize Melissa O'Neill Lowe. She is representing Governor Mills for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you again, Senator Rafferty, Representative Brennan, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs. I am Melissa O'Neill, and I'm the director, Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. Pleased to be here before you today to present Governor Mills' nomination for the appointment of Jane Gilbert of Augusta to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees. The Maine Community College System Board of Trustees is established in Maine statute under MRSA 20-A Section 12705 and Title V, Section 12004-C. The Board of Trustees is the policy-making authority of the system and consists of 13 voting members appointed by the governor, 12 from the fields of business and industry, labor, education, and the general public. The 13th voting member is chosen from the 3 ex officio members of the Commissioner of Education, the Commissioner of Economic and Community Development, and/or the Commissioner of Labor. Jane Gilbert of Augusta comes to you all today as a 40-plus year veteran of Maine state government, having served in crucial roles such as Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Labor, Director of Human Resources for the Department of Transportation, and Director of Labor Relations and Equal Opportunity for DOT, where she was responsible for personnel, health and safety, labor relations, civil rights, and workers' compensation administration. She deeply understands all area of labor relations from both management and labor perspectives. She's been recognized nationally for her work as a leader in civil rights issues for women and minorities, and will bring an ability and the knowledge of recruitment strategies by deploying diversity, equity, and inclusion. Jane is a mediator for the Maine Labor Relations Board and is no stranger to public and civic service, having served on the board of directors for the Maine Family Violence Project, the Children's Center, the Maine Children's Alliance, and as a member of the retiree chapter of the MSEA SEIU, as well as serving on the executive board of the AFL-CIO. Jane's strong connection to labor and deep understanding of career paths relating to labor will bring a new and appreciated voice to the trustees that is currently absent. We believe Jane will make an excellent addition to this group of Mainers, serving to ensure that Maine's community college system and each of their campuses are meeting the needs of each student who wishes to find their own personal path to success. On behalf of the governor, I would ask that you support the nomination of Jane L. Gilbert of Augusta to the Maine Community College's Board of Trustees. Thank you for your time this morning. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have at this time.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee of Ms. O'Neill Lowe relative to the nomination?
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none, then I would like to invite Jane Gilbert for an opportunity to make a statement concerning this nomination.
Senator Rafferty and Representative Brennan, members of the Education Committee. My name is Jane Gilbert of Augusta. I'm here to discuss with you my nominations to the Maine Community College Board of Trustees. During the last 50 years or so, I've had the privilege of interfacing with the community college system. I have had opportunity to visit all the campuses and observe many of the programs. I have a firm belief, based on my work experiences with both the Department of Labor and the Department of Transportation, that the education and technical training provided by the system is essential to the economic development of the state of Maine. I have an extensive experience as both an employer function and in providing oversight of training and apprenticeship programs. My working career has provided me with the opportunity to develop and implement successful non-traditional training and employment programs. I believe that in order to take full advantage of the infrastructure money becoming available for the state of Maine, we need to ensure that not only our workforce is trained and work ready, but also inclusive of individuals who have been previously excluded. I believe my experience in this area would be useful for the Board of Trustees. I thank you for your time today, and I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Are there any members of the committee that have questions for Ms. Gilbert at this time? Seeing none, and I know that we've had an opportunity to review any comments we've received, and we've given extended opportunity for folks to come in and speak, but none have registered. So I'm going to continue to move forward with the nomination. We will eventually pass the results of the vote on to the President of the Senate. But at this time, the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs for the appointment of Jane L. Gilbert of Augusta to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees is closed. We will move forward in terms of taking our vote, and as the previous two, without objection, we can move forward with the vote at this time. Otherwise, we will wait. Are there any objections to moving forward at this time? Seeing none, the pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Jane A. Gilbert of Augusta for appointment to the Community College System Board of Trustees be confirmed. In accordance with the rules of the 130th Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? And seeing confirmation of that, I will ask our clerk again, Mr. Murphy, if you would be kind enough to call the roll.
In the confirmation of Jane Gilbert for the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees, Senator Rafferty.
Yes.
Senator Rafferty votes yes. Senator Daughtry.
Yes.
Senator Daughtry votes yes. Senator Woodsum.
Yes.
Senator Woodsum votes yes. Representative Brennan.
Yes.
Representative Brennan votes yes. Representative Crockett. Representative Crockett is absent. Representative Dodge.
Yay.
Representative Dodge votes yay. Representative Lyman. Representative Lyman is absent. Representative McCray.
Yes.
Representative McCray votes yes. Representative Millette.
Yes.
Representative Millette votes yes. Representative Roach.
Yes.
Representative Roach votes yes. Representative Salisbury.
Yes.
Representative Salisbury votes yes. Representative Sampson. Representative Sampson is absent. Representative Stearns.
Yay.
Representative Stearns votes yay. The vote is 10 yes with 3 absent.
Thank you, Eli. So 10 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative. It is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs that the nomination of Jane A. Gilbert of Augusta for the appointment to the Community College System Board of Trustees be confirmed. Congratulations, Ms. Gilbert. Thank you for your willingness to do so. It's it's a pleasure to have people and of solid backgrounds step up and help us at that level. We appreciate your past service and wish you well moving forward with the Board of Trustees.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a nice day. This will be our 4th and final hearing this morning. Prior to doing so, I know that people have joined us since we started. I don't believe that I've given Representative Millette nor Representative McCray opportunity to introduce themselves, so I will at this time. Representative Millette.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. I'm Rebecca Millette. I represent House District 30, which is most of Cape Elizabeth.
Thank you. And Representative McCray.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm Dave McCray from Fort Fairfield. I'm down in Augusta. Quite a time getting here. I was off and on my phone, but I'm here. Glad to be here. Thank you very much.
And thank you. So folks, this public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs is for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Kate Rush of Newport for the appointment to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the statutes, require that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee. And at this time, I would like to recognize Representative Brennan for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty. And I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs recommend confirmation of Ms. Kate Rush of Newport for appointment to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees.
Thank you. And do I have a second? Thank you, Senator Daughtry. So the motion from Representative Brennan is for seconded by Senator Daughtry. And at this time, I would like to recognize Melissa O'Neill Lowe as a representative of the governor's office for the purpose of a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you again, Senator Rafferty, Representative Brennan, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs. For the last time this legislative session, I am Melissa O'Neill Lowe, and I am the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Janet Mills. I'm pleased to be here before you today to present Governor Mills' nomination for the appointment of Kate W.B. Rush of Newport to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees. If it pleases the committee, I will skip over the statutory reference since we read it last time. Kate W.B. Rush of Newport comes before you today as Vice President of Corporate Development at Tilson Technology, a Maine-based company leading the nation in technology, taking on complex telecommunications, construction technology, software, and infrastructure projects. Kate leads Tilson's mergers and acquisitions effort and innovation practice. Prior to joining Tilson, Kate was Senior Vice President at Bangor Savings Bank and responsible for several areas during her time there, including technology, mergers and acquisition, strategic planning, project management, customer experience, and community relations. Additionally, Kate's experience includes positions in global supply chain and commodity management in the aerospace industry in nearly a decade as an entrepreneur in the residential construction, real estate development, and renewable energy sector. She earned her undergraduate engineering degree from Worcester Polytech Institute and an MBA from the University of Hartford. She holds an executive certificate in customer-focused innovation from Stanford and an executive certificate in management and leadership from MIT's Sloan School of Management. Kate currently serves on the board of directors for the Good Shepherd Food Bank, Maine's Working Community Challenge Steering Committee, and is a mentor to high school girls through the Olympia Snow Leadership Institute. As Kate notes in her background materials, we too believe that Kate's diverse background and experiences in industries such as renewable energy, manufacturing, finance, and telecommunications are critical industries to the future of Maine's workforce. She will bring a skill set to the trustees that will enhance and support programming that has become important to Maine's future economic growth and the growth of Maine's community college students. For these reasons and many more, I would ask that on behalf of the governor, you support the nomination of Kate W. Rush of Newport for appointment to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time. And again, thank you all so much for spending a little bit of your morning with me.
Thank you. Folks, do we have any questions at this time? Seeing none, then I'm going to recognize Kate Rush for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty, Representative Brennan, and distinguished members of the Education and Cultural Affairs Committee. My name is Kate Rush from Newport, Maine, and I'm here today to discuss with you my nomination to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees. It is my privilege and an honor to be considered, and it is my sincere hope that my experience, business and personal, will make me an asset to the Community College System Board of Trustees, advancing the mission to create an educated, skilled, and adaptable labor force that is responsive to the changing needs of Maine's economy. As noted, I've had the opportunity to work in a variety of industries, including construction and renewable energy at a company that I previously co-founded in Maine, information technology, aerospace, finance, and today telecommunications. Skilled labor like machinists, IT technicians, CAD designers, electricians, equipment operators, tower climbers, tellers, and mechanics are all foundational to the success of the various industries in which I have worked. This range of experience has made crystal clear time and time again the inextricable connection between workforce development and economic results. Maine's community colleges are vital to the success of Maine's economy and advancing the skilled workforce that we need to thrive. I've seen this close up in my experience with the Maine Community College System leadership as a member of the Maine Working Communities Challenge Steering Committee and the Economic Recovery Committee, and in prior roles as a funder through the Bangor Savings Bank Foundation and the Maine Community Foundation. Additionally, I'm a native of Newport, Maine, and today live just a few miles from the dairy farm where I grew up. I'm a graduate of a Maine Public High School, Nokomis Regional High, and my daughter now attends that same school system. This lived experience gives me a perspective of just how important the community college system is to young people as they consider their future and the skills they need for success. As noted, I now serve on my local town council and am a board member of the Good Shepherd Food Bank and a mentor to high school girls via the Olympia Snow Leadership Institute. It is these experiences that underscore the importance of connection, possibility, and access and how one envisions their future. Maine's community college system is a uniquely positioned asset in our community, serving both as a vital ingredient in economic development and in helping learners fulfill their potential. I'm inspired by the work that MCCS does and the potential before it, and would be honored to serve on the Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members, please, at this time? Thank you. Seeing none, and just so you understand as well, Kate, we do get the committee receives information relative to your nomination and your background and so forth. We present opportunity to hear from the public. They were welcome to join us this morning should they have any questions relative to your nomination as well as support. Typically, we don't get a lot of that with this Zoom format. So what I'm going to do at this time is just move the hearing along and move towards a vote of nomination. So prior to doing so, the hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs for the appointment of Kate Rush of Newport to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees is closed. As we move towards the vote, again, I have to ask the committee if there is anyone that objects to us moving forward with the vote at this time. Thank you very much. We will do that. And seeing no objections, the pending question before us is that the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs recommend to the Senate of the 130th Maine Legislature that the nomination of Kate Rush of Newport for the appointment to the Community College System Board of Trustees be confirmed. In accordance with the rules of the 130th Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and the nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Seeing the nods in the affirmative, I will ask our committee clerk, Mr. Murphy, if you would kindly call a roll for us, Eli.
In the confirmation of Kate Rush to the Maine Community College System Board of Trustees, Senator Rafferty.
Yay.
Senator Rafferty votes yay. Senator Daughtry.
Yay.
Senator Daughtry votes yay. Senator Woodson.
Yes.
Senator Woodson votes yes. Representative Brennan.
Yes.
Representative Brennan votes yes. Representative Crockett. Representative Crockett is absent. Representative Dodge.
Gratefully, yay.
Representative Dodge votes yay. Representative Lyman. Representative Lyman is absent. Representative McCray.
Yes.
Representative McCray votes yes. Representative Millette.
Yes.
Representative Millette votes yes. Representative Roach. Representative Roach is absent. Representative Salisbury.
Yes.
Representative Salisbury votes yes. Representative Sampson. Representative Sampson is absent. Representative Stearns.
Yes.
Representative Stearns votes yes. The votes are 9 yes with 4 absent.
Thank you, Eli. 9 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 0 in the negative. It is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Education and Cultural Affairs that the nomination of Kate Rush of Newport for the appointment to the Community College System Board of Trustees be confirmed. Congratulations, Kate. Again, your your resume is quite lengthy. I personally, I think that this committee I know has, obviously dedicated to education in Maine, and we have a great, understanding and clear mission in terms of our community colleges, of which you will now take a part of. So we may cross paths again, but I couldn't ask this question because it's a little bit off track in terms of the nomination. You made reference to a dairy farm in Newport, so I'm guessing there was a fellow that lived here locally. His family is still in the area, Dan Rush. I know he was from that area. I don't know if there's a relation or not.
My married name is Rush, from the region of Benedicta and Sherman. So that would be my husband's family, and they have some farming there as well.
Okay, well, thank you. I know them well, but in any case, thank you very much for being with us and for your willingness to join that board. And we commend you for doing so.
My pleasure. Thank you very
Have a good
much.
day. Thank you. Um, Thank you, Ms. O'Neill Lowe. Have a good day.
I hope you all have a great end of session. Thanks for everything this session, and I hope to see you all next year.
Thank you. Folks, we do have some additional business, some of which are reports. And I don't know, Eli, do you have the actual order of those for us?
I do not specifically. I can look through. My apologies. I can check to see which one was requested to go first.
That was.
I can also bring in, I know Megan Welter is in the attendees list and she can certainly assist.
Thanks for that. Good morning, Hillary.
Good morning. I believe the request is for LD 362 to go first, which is the school nutrition one.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Welter.
Good morning, Senator Rafferty. Good morning, members of the committee. Happy April.
It is. That it is. There's been a, the end of March felt a little bit more like the end of February at times, but we're getting there.
Maine's a roller coaster when it comes to spring. Eli, I think we're also expecting Walter Beasley and Charlotte Ellis for this report as well.
So I see Mr. Beasley, we have Charlotte. So I'm seeing we have, in addition to you, Megan, we have Amy, Charlotte, and Walter.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And who would like to start us off?
I can start by just giving a quick overview, and then I'll hand it off to Mr. Beasley and Ms. Ellis, followed by Dr. Johnson. So good morning, Senator Rafferty, Representative Brennan, and the members of the Education and Cultural Affairs Committee. My name is Megan Welter. I'm the Director of Policy and Government Affairs for the Department of Education. And this morning, we're here to present to you the report for LD 362. This is a report, it's a resolve to require the Department of Education to report on family income data collection. And it required the department to look at strategies to use alternative databases and income measures to determine eligibility for public school nutrition programs. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Walter Beasley, who's going to provide the report.
Good morning, representatives and senators. I believe you have a copy of the report, so I'm not a person that's going to read to you. I'm going to go through the highlights on the USDA food section, and then I'm going to hand it off to people that have more experience in other areas. But as far as the USDA food program, school lunch program, school breakfast, the form that is required is a USDA meal patent form that has certain requirements that are required by USDA. So we're required to use that form for that reason. I did put a waiver in to have an exception for Maine, so we did not have to do any application at all. USDA denied that request. So we're back doing applications. The reason we have to do applications, just even though Maine is all free, we get our federal money based on free, reduced, and paid. So every free meal gets a certain amount of money, every reduced gets money, and every paid gets money at a sliding scale. So we still have to collect that information unless they do a special provision 2 or a CEP, which we strongly encourage and working on for the benefit of the school and for the state as far as financially. That's what happens. Due to COVID, a lot of applications were never passed in by parents. They didn't see the point, and you can't argue that. I mean, they're getting a meal for free anyway, so why are they going to fill an application out? That trend considers now, of course, as the families next year will have to do an application. We're going to have to do a lot of promoting to push it. But over the past few years, long before this, we've been working with school districts to encourage the application. We've worked on, Department of Education's worked on an alternate income form to collect that. In some cases, they collect that form because of community eligibility, CEP. So there's an economic status form that's already being used and has been used for years. And that's a DOE form. And many school districts, like I said, currently use it. But it's a program that we've been working on for quite a while. And we're trying to stay ahead of the needs and trying to educate USDA at the same time. And I'm going to hand it off to, I believe, Charlotte to talk about the pilot program.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you, senators and representatives of the committee. I'd like to talk a little bit about the pilot program that we're working with the USDOE on. We received a grant from them to look at some student addresses against census data. So what we did this past October was take student addresses, physical addresses of all the students from our October 1 student count, and we saved those in a database. We worked with our Office of GIS here in the state and put latitude, longitude on those addresses, and then we bounced that data against a system called Blindside, which the U.S. Census Office has. We didn't give any student information with that. We just put the addresses up there and got the information back. Right now, we're in the process of analyzing that data. So what comes back with that is an indicator of, it's a numerical indicator that says if it's within a certain range, the student lives in an area of reduced, which is equivalent to reduced lunch, or if it's a different set of numbers, it's in a free lunch area or it's above the poverty line. So right now we're looking at that because it also comes with some information that shows you how accurate that data is. So like I said, we're just still doing a lot of analysis on that data to determine what it really means for Maine, and we still have some questions to work with that group on. Like I said, it's still a pilot project that's being worked on with a number of states across the United States. It's not really been used a lot in rural areas, so they're excited to have us work on that, but there's still a lot of questions about how it will work for Maine, and also some caveats to that is the census data is a few years old that we're bouncing that against, so it's not current information that we can use that's data as of even within the last couple of years. It's a few years old. Dr. Johnson?
You guys are quick. I'm just going to do a brief recap, really, and just share some of the work that we have done at MEPRI that's aligned to this bill. No, not share. Slideshow. Okay. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
So just to recap, and this is really consistent with what Walter and Charlotte just talked about. Actually, first of all, I want to just give a shout out to Lisa Morris, who is waiting in the wings here in case we have technical questions that I can't answer. She has done the yeoman's amount of the quantitative analysis and the policy work behind this. So we have just really big up to the big picture. There's a few different reasons why we measure student poverty and why this is important. We're the first, as Walter and Charlotte have talked about, is really fulfilling federal requirements where it can be about funding, things like Title I, and particularly school nutrition, USDA, and also about accountability because ESSA requires that we have information about individual students in order to report student achievement. So there are various federal requirements. The definitions for each of these federal programs can be slightly different, and which is just great and super easy for the department. And the federal policies really dictate what those measures are and how they're implemented. So really it's a situation where our hands are somewhat tied unless we wanted to forego federal funding, which I don't think anybody's talking about. And I think the biggest one that has been a source of consternation is the USDA school nutrition requirements. As Walter talked about, there's been challenges with collecting those data. These are well-known, well-established, and we're not the only state to be experiencing these. But as you heard, Maine tried to get a little more flexible, and the feds came back and said, no waiver. So those are constraints, and those are challenges the department has to try to work around. The second big category, which is where we have come into being related to this conversation, is around how we measure student poverty in relation to the EPS funding formula, which, as you know, has a specific student weight built into the formula for students who are economically disadvantaged. At the big picture level, what that is trying to do is just ensure that districts with a high proportion of students in poverty are getting additional resources to be able to support those students. Most of that EPS component is not targeted, so districts have the flexibility and discretion to use those funds as they see fit, which, spoiler alert, we know they're often using to hire additional staff, which is great. It's working in many respects, but it's not there. There are many ways that we could skin that particular cat. So in order to have a system where we provide additional resources to high poverty districts, we don't need we could use basically various measures of student poverty. We could use school level data, we could use district level data. On the EPS side, there's a lot of flexibility. We stand waiting in the rings, ready to change that component if a better measure became available. So this is not the thing that needs to wag the dog. And then the third area is research. So obviously, this is something that Lisa and I care about a lot. We really want to be able to understand what's happening with our programs, our supports, and which policies work better for students with economic challenges. And so typically for any kind of high quality research, you would need a student level measure so that you can understand how individual students in different demographic conditions are faring. So for all those purposes, including for the EPS model allocations, we really want to have a measure that is administrative data because it's collected for some other purpose. It's meaningful to somebody, and it has, therefore, some controls to make sure it's valid and reliable. So for example, Charlotte talked about the pilot program that would shift from requiring parent forms to being able to use student addresses to be able to get this. That's an excellent administrative data point, right? That's like really good data and it exists and no one has to put a lot of effort into getting it, it's there. The other administrative data that we have talked about is the direct cert data, which Walter could talk about more. One of the things that we do that is allowed within our school nutrition program is predetermining students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch because they already are eligible for some other DHHS program, such as TANF or SNAP. And so that is a good source of information, but it doesn't exactly match the USDA definition for free and reduced lunch. So it's not, it can't substitute for that, but we have recommended, and well, actually, I'm sorry, next slide. That's the background. So the resources that we have brought to this that we can go into in more detail or that we can just point you to for further reading. The prior review of economically disadvantaged student weight, which is what we did for the EPS funding formula, it is really where a lot of this, what I just mentioned, has come from. And again, Lisa was the lead author on that report. And it really has identified the challenges with free and reduced lunch that you've all been talking about, and the USDA constraints on those measures. And what we recommended in that report is, because we are constrained with how far you can go and what kind of measures you can use within USDA currently, we recommended trying to further fine-tune the direct cert process, which is already pretty good. But what we don't currently include is Maine care eligible children, which is a reliable source of administrative data that does capture students in poverty, and it captures more students than just those who might be in households receiving TANF or SNAP benefits. Because parents might be willing to forego food stamps, but they're typically not willing to forego health care if their children are eligible. So this captures a different population. It is messy. it is something that would be a big challenge and a really heavy lift for this to be included in direct cert, but it's something that we raised as a possible question for further exploration if we continue to be sort of hamstrung by the USDA current policy. And again, I'll mention here, we are not the only state to be facing these challenges. So there is pressure on the USDA to be thinking more flexibly about other ways that we might measure student poverty. But as Walter alluded, as of yet, there has not been flexibility forthcoming, but the pandemic is really raising this issue ahead. And that is maybe a potential relief that might be coming. So our prior review of economically disadvantaged was lengthy treatment of this challenge. The other work that we have ongoing is our current review of economically disadvantaged student weight, which is currently we're working on it right now, which is in two parts. The first part, I'm not going to go into because it basically is a recap of everything we've just presented. So we prepared for the department, Lisa prepared for the department, a sort of a policy landscape that summarizes all of these issues, including a brief description of the pilot program that Charlotte mentioned. So that report is a good resource. It's really right on point with this conversation if you wanted to read with more detail. That exists, public document. And then the other work that we currently have in progress for the economically disadvantaged student weight is what we're calling the part 2. And it's in process right now. It's really relevant to this committee, but it's not that relevant to LD 362. So I'm mentioning it here, FYI. What we're looking at, which is new for MEPRI actually, is looking at the subsidy allocation and how it relates to community wealth. As everybody knows, there's a lot of questions and concerns about whether the way that we distribute subsidy based on property taxes is the optimal way to do it. And so the commissioner has dedicated some of our resources through our EPS component review to start to explore some of these issues. This is something that's not in our usual component review cycle because we tend to focus just on the cost model and the upfront costs. We don't have much to do to date with the subsidy side and the distribution side. So we are looking at that right now in a part 2 report. We presented some preliminary results to the commissioner last week and have some further work ahead of us based on that. We hope to have that report done in May. And then we are fully anticipating that in next year's EPS work plan, fiscal year 23, which we're currently still kind of finalizing what the priorities might be, we expect that the report that we generate in May will include a deeper dive on subsidy distribution and that side of the formula. And then also we will be in touch soon, but we are meeting today with the MEPRI steering committee to review the topic ratings that have been proposed. You know, this is our annual process to work with you for your work plan with us. And that is another opportunity that we would be ready and willing to look at this issue in more detail if there's a place that MEPRI can be helpful. And I know I talk too fast. I've tried, you guys. But that's all. That is my overview. So do you have any questions about either the work we've done on the free and reduced lunch measures or the other work we have coming up?
I would like to clarify direct cert if I could.
Thanks, Walter.
Direct cert is a direct certification means that a student becomes eligible for free meals without any further application or anything else. So it's the easiest way for a student to get access to free meals. It's all as far as Medicare and main care, USDA currently doesn't recognize those as acceptable measures of their income. So unfortunately, we are unable to use that. USDA has a pilot program that'll come out next year to allow Medicare to be part of the direct cert, but Maine is not part of that right now. So that's something that we probably do in the future. Thank you.
If I could just jump in and clarify on that. So that is maybe something that we might have had a misunderstanding. It's my impression that other states do include their main care stuff. So Walter is the expert on this, not us. But that is something that we need to look into. Thanks.
I do have, excuse me, some questions. Representative Salisbury, and then I have Representative Dodge and Representative Brennan all with hands up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that presentation. It's really helpful. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, I know that I see now that we didn't get the waiver that you just talked about, Mr. Beasley. And I also wanted to talk about the pandemic waivers that were also not recently funded federally. So that's, if I'm understanding correctly, that's a whole other ball of wax that's very concerning, right? That's going to run out in June. We were hoping they would be extended until September 2023, if I have that part right.
You are correct. They didn't extend anything and they're still trying to negotiate, shall we say.
Okay. And for the rest of my colleagues on this committee, you'll be seeing soon, hopefully a legislative letter being sent to the federal delegation, encouraging them to fund those, hopefully, for whatever that's worth. We'll try to send a letter encouraging them to reconsider that decision and maybe add some of that. So I'm thankful for this work and look forward to helping support it in any way we can.
Can I just add a piece, Representative Salisbury? We did receive word from Senator Collins and Senator King's office of a bill that they're co-sponsoring called, excuse me, Support Kids and Not Red Tape. And that is to reinstate the 18 waivers that are a part of the USDA and to extend them through the summer of 2023. And as you know, Walter mentioned, these were done as an emergency, and with everything that's happening, you can't turn on a dime and just turn these off. And so the hope is that this time will allow policymakers to draft, more flexibility, as we've learned some great lessons, lemonade out of lemons in the pandemic, if you will, about how to provide nutrition and services to students at this time. So I can share that information with Hillary to distribute to you.
Thanks. I was just reading that too. I hadn't gotten down below. I just got that email as well. So I can share that for the committee. That is really exciting. So hopefully we can lend our support to that and make that move forward.
Thank you. Representative Dodge, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for your reports to all of you who presented. Two questions. One is quite granular and perhaps moot, considering that this isn't acceptable by USDA, but are school nurses still checking on the insurance coverage that all students have? And I don't expect an answer today, but back in the dark ages, I believe a school nurse knew that when you were hurt on the playground, you either had insurance through your parents or through another means. That's the granular question. The second question is about expanding the letter to the DC delegation to include something referencing direct certification, if that is not included in the Support Kids and Not Red Tape waivers in the longer list, please. Representative Salisbury, if you might consider that, if that is acceptable and recommended. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Brennan, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Rafferty. And thank you, everybody who is here today on this presentation. I also want to thank Representative Salisbury for her work on this. And I know there's a caucus looking at food security issues. And also Representative Millett has also been very active in these things. So if you could help me, I'm going to go through what I think I understand, and will you tell me where I'm wrong? Just stop me and tell me. But my understanding was that prior 2 years ago, let's just say, school districts spent a lot of effort having parents sign up for free and reduced lunch. And we did that because that was required by the federal government and also dictated what money we might get reimbursed from the federal government for free and reduced lunch. But it also provided the basis for allocation for disadvantaged students. Am I right so far?
Well, the meal benefit application from USDA is for meals only.
Okay.
Because it's a USDA program. DOE has benefited from that and have limited ability to research that because they're two different, the USDA and DOE don't communicate well, shall we say.
And then we stepped in a year ago and said, we're going to fully fund free and reduced lunch. There were the waivers that were provided by the federal government to cover the cost. And I know in Portland, we've seen at least a 10, if not 15% reduction in the number of students, families that have turned in the appropriate forms for free and reduced lunch, which then ends up having the spillover effect of affecting our disadvantaged student count because that's gone down.
Yeah.
So part of my question, and what I thought I heard Ms. Johnson say, that we could disaggregate the two in the sense that the disadvantaged student count and how we allocate that, we can use whatever measure we want as a state to determine disadvantaged student and not necessarily have to rely on free and reduced lunch application. Am I correct about that?
I think that's for me. So it depends on, within the EPS formula, that's a state thing and we control it. To the extent that we also, other federal programs, such as Title I allocations, Maine also relies, like there are multiple ways that we use that one measure because it's administrative data that up until recently has been high quality. So, so yes, in terms of EPS, I can say that with certainty. In terms of how easy it might be to pivot to other measures for other federal programs such as Title I allocations, I defer to Charlotte and Walter on that.
Okay.
So some of the federal work I've done with the federal programs, I can't speak to anyone individually. I will say that some of the federal programs do have alternative options for them to collect information. And I think each program's going to have to look at that. And I think they already are, because we started this conversation, like I said, over a year ago. But it's something we're really going to have to look at down the road, because, you know, my goal's been to get rid of that application. So parents just give the kid, we just give the kid a meal and stop this whole free and reduced thing.
Okay. And if I could just continue, Senator Rafferty, Ms. Thompson, I'm going to take a leap here and say that your answer was yes to my question, that we could use whatever measure we choose to determine the factor in EPS on disadvantaged students. Okay. So we don't have to necessarily be reliant on collection of free and reduced lunch applications to make that determination.
Yeah, and that's what our last component review was about, was exploring other things we might be able to use. But I mean,
okay.
It would take some time. We'd have to redevelop the component, but yes.
And then I guess I'd go back to Mr. Beasley. So for what purpose do we need to collect those applications or statements from families? Is it to continue to get federal money, or is that the only reason that we do it at this point, to continue to secure federal money for free and reduced lunch?
So in round numbers, the meal applications, we get a reimbursement rate for paid, free and reduced. It's a sliding scale, and we get about $55 million to the state of Maine. So yeah, we're collecting applications to get that federal money.
Okay, so does that mean that we should continue to be should I be calling up the superintendent in school in Portland and saying you need to do a better job and get back to 55 or 60%, which we were pre-pandemic, in order to assist the state to get the federal reimbursement?
So I think calling the superintendent is probably not the solution. I think the solution is to call all the parents that don't fill them out. And that's one thing that we started doing. We have a PSA and some outreach that goes to the parents, because the schools know they want to get it out. And the other thing that I've pushed USDA to do is USDA needs to step up the plate and do a national campaign to promote the meal benefit application, because they've set up this mess. Let's help us get it straightened out.
Okay. And my last question or a comment. Representative Millette had put a bill in a year ago, 2 years ago, that allowed for an online application. And then we just sent language to the Appropriations Committee, and maybe she can talk about that a little bit more to adjust, to make sure that we can use that data that we get online. But I also just wanted to ask Mr. Beasley, are parents and school districts utilizing that online application in a way that has been positive?
So we're on the 4th year of that. Many schools have used it. To be honest with you right up front, I'm disappointed on the number of schools that are using it. During the epidemic, when it was free, it declined greatly, of course. It's really picking up steam again right now, because right now we're promoting next school year 23. So they're getting on board. The thing that next year is going to happen, an RFP is going out hopefully this week for school year 23, who gets that contract to do that. We've had the same company for the last 4 years, which has worked really good with us and with the schools.
Okay. And again, this will be my last, just to summarize this. So right now, we're not in a position to use alternative metrics to determine, to satisfy the federal requirement, but there's a possibility with this pilot and that we can move in this direction, and that other states have also been moving in this direction as well.
So for USDA, yes.
Right.
And for DOE,
yeah,
the alternative, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think we're on a good path.
Thank you. And sorry to take up so much time, but I found all of this a little bit confusing, and now I'm just, I'm less confused. It's not.
That's good.
I'm not enlightened yet, but I'm less confused.
Thank you. Representative Salisbury, followed by Representative Stearns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the opportunity to speak again. I just wanted to say really quickly to Representative Brennan's point that I think that the important thing to remember is with the applications being filled, that it's the school nutrition director that's reaching out to these families. So it's one person trying to reach out to get families, encourage them to fill those documents out. It's the superintendent really, isn't involved in that day-to-day process. And it is quite the process, because there is so much at stake because of those declining numbers and that sort of foreboding that funding is going to be decreased. We've had here in Westbrook, we've had meetings where we've tried to sort of brainstorm ideas. How can we get families to realize that, yes, the message is breakfast and lunch is free for everybody, but we still need you to fill out this form. And how can we do that? What's the best way when it is still one person that's going to be having that interaction? So it's kind of a perfect storm. We're all very thankful for the free breakfast and lunch, but at the same time, still have to have these forms filled out. So.
Thank you. Representative Stearns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It certainly is reassuring that, and I understand that we can use other metrics on the EPS side of things. That seems to be not an easy solve, but it's certainly doable. But we're in a real pickle with the feds regarding Title I money, as far as I can see. These many parents of all socioeconomic levels are very reluctant to fill out forms and provide information and data that they feel is not relevant unless there's something in it for them at the end of the day. We played a great bluffing game back a decade or so ago, and we required all that to be turned in for a student to receive their laptop, their one-to-one laptop. And by gosh, we had great results in getting students to turn that stuff in. Students are not addresses. They're little people and big people. And one of the things that really concerns me, I love the idea of everyone lining up for lunch. It's great on the school end of things. It's like everybody just go eat. Here's your lunch. I get that. But school teachers and school staff are always looking for indications of how things may be going at home. And we look for bruises. We look for students who are asleep all day at the desk. And it just kind of sends a little flag up the flagpole that something's wrong here with Jimmy or Susie. Let's maybe give a call. Let's find out what's going on. And by not having the head of the household or the family in somehow account for how their youngster is going to eat, we've removed a very important dynamic, I believe, in looking at the whole child and what may be going on at the household. So I believe that's a downside. Not feeding your child is neglect, according to law. And so if we remove that step of even saying, you know, we're down on our luck right now, I've got to fill out this form, things aren't going that well. We've removed one more indicator of maybe what's going on at the individual child person level, not the address level. So it's a tough problem. There are great sides, in my opinion, to just producing lunch. Here it is, nutrition. We need that. I get it. But we need to be really careful moving forward, both on the individual level and those Title I federal dollars. That's going to be a tough nut to crack. But I really appreciate the work being done on it and the report this morning.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, folks, at this time? Yes, Ms. Welter.
I just wanted to say that I know the reports, particularly the MEPRI report, came in to your mailboxes a little bit later yesterday afternoon, but I will say it's really great beach reading, and as things warm up, the two reports really do dovetail nicely. In that the MEPRI report really provides tremendous background and a deeper, richer explanation about some of these alternatives. I know they are two separate reports, and that was intentional. So please do take some time to dive into them, because it does sort of inform what some of inform you about some of those options that we're pursuing.
Thank you very much for that. Ms. Johnson.
And again, props to Lisa Morris. Thank you, Megan, for those kind words. I just wanted to point out that one thing that I'm going to do, but it involves connecting with some of the folks in the department. I used to know, but I have forgotten exactly what measures are allowable for Title I, because I do think that is important to Representative Stern's point. I just mentioned that that's something that I'm not going to let drop, because it's different from USDA, and I think there might be some more flexibility, just as there is with EPS.
Thank you. Representative Dodge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask in how we could procure a form that we could take to the beach for the two reports that we have been suggested we read, please. Is that something that Eli could have for us sometime in the next couple of days, or that could be left in our room? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Representative Brennan, follow.
Thank you once again, Senator Rafferty. But I would ask Ms. Welter, this year, to accommodate some of these issues with free and reduced lunch, and there is a recommended change in the budget now to go from disadvantaged students from the 1.15 to 1.2. So that's an accommodation. Is the department thinking about going forward? Do we continue to have to make these type of accommodations, or are we going to work with MEPRI and Mr. Beasley and Ms. Ellis to find another metric that we use for disadvantaged students? So I understand and appreciate the adaptation and the accommodation that was made this year, but it doesn't appear to me that's going to immediately go away. And then are we going down a path of every year having to make some accommodation because of not having the data we want on disadvantaged students?
I don't have a clear answer for you right now, but I can tell you this has been a priority for the department to be looking at what are the rates of form returns, but also what are the rates of students who are being identified for free, reduced lunches, such that that would affect the Title I funding. And that has been a point of discussion. And I would also just kind of reach out to Walter or Charlotte to see if there are additional pieces, but I can get more information back to the committee.
Okay. Well, just based on Ms. Johnson's comments, that we can decouple free and reduced lunch and disadvantaged students if we decide on another metric that we think is equally appropriate. And we have the power to do that as the legislature. It's just a question of how quickly and when we might do that. And that would be somewhat dependent upon DOE coming to us and saying, here's what we recommend, and here's what we think might be an alternative metric that we could use over time.
Charlotte, do you have any information about when the pilot for Blindside will give us some information back about the geocoding?
So having a bunch of turnover in this area of our team. We have a new analyst that's working on that, and our data warehouse manager has just started this week. So she will be working with our analyst on that. But I would expect that it would be a few months at least for them to get up to speed on how our data systems work together. And unfortunately, I will not be here to help move them through that transition as I am also leaving. So I would hope that they would have that over by the summer. But again, we have been cautioned by the US DOE that this data is a pilot even for them, and that we shouldn't be using it to make policy decisions at this time. And they've not given us a clear understanding of why they are saying that, or whether they don't know that. I think part of it is that the census data is old, in that it's not representative of current circumstances. And we are getting more information on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can just, I've gotten information about Representative Dodge's question regarding health insurance. There's not a requirement requiring schools to continue to collect that information. However, many schools do continue to collect it as part of the opening day or return to school. It is also something that is collected for students at the middle and high school levels participating in sports. So that information is on file, but obviously for students who are not participating in sports, it's not necessarily something that we would have for 100% of the students.
Thank you. Folks, any other questions? Seeing none, I want to thank you folks for being with us this morning. We appreciate your information and your availability and continued work. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh dear. Where are we? Eli's disappeared. Hey, Hillary.
Do you want to go to the next department report at this point?
Yes, if we could, please.
Right. Eli, if you could bring in, sorry, if you could please bring in Beth. Beth Lambert is in the waiting room, I think.
Good morning.
Good morning. You want me to jump right into it, Megan? Yep. Okay.
That'd be great. Thanks, Beth.
I had to check. I think it is still morning, but
I think it is.
didn't take
We're
a
just
quick
cutting
check.
in. Good morning, everybody. I'm Beth Lambert. the Director of Innovative Teaching and Learning at the department. And I'm here to talk with you about the reports on LD 278 and 518. Directing the Department of Education to review and assess state mandated instruction and training for students, and also the resolve directing the Department of Education to develop a process for the consideration and implementation of changes to mandated instruction or training for students. I know you all have the report and hopefully have had a chance to read through it. And I'm here really if there are questions or further conversation about it. We did review the mandated instruction and training, and then proposed at the end in our recommendation a process for further bills that would come forward. Really, it's looking at it's acknowledging that we have the system of learning results as a comprehensive document to look at and to avoid one-offs in mandated instruction that kind of become this continual add-on and add-on and add-on that we can lose track of, because each one seems great at the time. Generally, they're all that we need to take a step back and to look at it within that comprehensive system of the education for K through 12 students. Is really our recommendation to look at that, to work with bill sponsors to consider either and or waiting for the review cycle, which is on a 5-year cycle. So it takes 2 years for each one to be reviewed. So it's always coming up. And then during that process, which I've spoken to you all about earlier in this session, there's lots of opportunity for public feedback, for public comments and hearings. And then also it's really conducted by our public school educators, and they're determining then how it fits into that comprehensive system of learning results, and then would make a recommendation. And if it does get included, or how it gets included, would then be supported, as we do with the revision process, through resource creation and professional learning that comes out through the department. So I think that's sort of an overview, but I'm happy to dive deeper into something or answer questions as you've looked at it, if there are areas that were unclear or you wanted more information on.
Do we have any questions, folks, at this time? I'm not seeing any. Thank you, Ms. Lambert. Oh, I do have a question from Representative Brennan.
I'm sorry, Ms. Lambert. Thank you, Senator Rafferty. I'm sorry, Ms. Lambert, that I haven't been able to go through the reports in great detail. But could you tell me when was the last time, or how many times we've passed mandated curriculums in the last 10 years?
Well, we pulled out. It's not. We established there's not excessive or onerous numbers of mandates that are out there. And there's a table in there that actually shows you how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there. The concern is, I think, in because of as my memory is of the resolve, is that they keep coming, and and the department often is discouraging of moving in that direction, and works to put them into the learning results, to think carefully before mandating more things directly onto teachers. So I think that's what we saw.
Okay. And then in terms of your recommendation, I mean, you know this as well as anybody, but just last session, we probably had somewhere between 5 and 8 mandate bills, curriculum mandate bills. And we sit here on the committee and we say, do we pick and choose what to mandate, what not to mandate, and then, or how to fold it into the learning results in a way that is consistent with what we're trying to do with the reviews within learning results. I suspect next January, there are going to be another 5 to 10 curriculum mandate bills that will be introduced. And you're basically suggesting that you'd work with the bill sponsors to try to eliminate the mandate and to see some way that they could be incorporated into the learning results. Is that a brief but somewhat accurate summary?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it is tough. It's a national trend to try to, all from generally good places of some things that feel like need to be in, but don't take into account this larger system and what educators need and what it requires of them when you just sort of put a piece on again in that add-on one-offs, which I think this committee understands. But I also, with the challenge when thinking about a process, as I'm sure you all are thinking about too, is what can you create as a process? You can't stop people from writing bills, and they want to, and that's a mechanism because we care so deeply about what students are learning and want to have impact and effect and want students to have all of these things, but they don't necessarily often sit on the committee or work really closely with educators or have been educators, and that can be a struggle. Even some that have sometimes often get stuck in that thinking a bill will fix this. So that was our suggestion, because it really within what you could do for a process, that was where we landed, without something that just identifies them and throws them out. I don't think we can that would be effective either.
I know you know that 2 years ago, Representative Cornfield did put in a bill that did establish a process, and I then took that bill and reintroduced it again, and then we turned it into this resolve, and that had outlined a process by which the committee would follow in terms of looking at mandates. It was, and then there were some questions raised by other groups that it was just an unnecessary overlay, and that these decisions needed to be made by the Education Committee directly, and not have some review by the Department of Education. So, but just in summary, again, what I guess you're saying, what I think, or I hear you saying, is that you're comfortable with the learning results process in terms of updating curriculum, and that that 5-year review, and that we simultaneously use that as a way to incorporate new curriculum and to review what we have, and that process is the best way for us to address that issue.
Yeah, I think an important distinction between the bill that we saw earlier and then what we ended up with in the process here, because certainly was considered, is it was a process to address each bill individually.
Yep.
And it still didn't give the opportunity, because it was always immediate. So if you put the bill, it would be addressed, shortly after it was filed. It didn't give that opportunity to look at it within the whole system. And so I think that's the important distinction with what we're saying here versus, every time a bill comes forward, it would go through an independent review. But this would say it would go through it as part of that, which we do feel really good about the review cycle and the process and how it's working.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you both. Representative Dodge, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Lambert, for your report. I believe that there is a facet of this that we are not realizing, and that is the education that school boards and superintendents need to share with their members of their community about local control on what is part of the learning that goes on in an SAU. And so I would suggest or ask if there might be a way for us as perhaps an education committee to talk with MSNA, or for DOE to talk with MSNA about some component of addressing this in that way. Thank you.
Representative, I see a podcast in your near future. Any other questions, folks, at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much, Ms. Lambert, for being here.
Right,
appreciate it. And thanks for your continued work. Have a good day. All right. Hillary and Eli are back.
So I just wanted to quickly mention that I just emailed the committee with that full MEPI report. You should have just gotten that in your email. And if anybody wants a hard copy, just reply to my email, or I see Representative Dodge as a yes. And what I can do is print out some extra copies and send those to your seats for you so that you can take them with you. So if anyone else wants them, just send me an email by the end of the day and I'll make sure you get that hard copy, because it is about 25, 26 pages.
Thanks.
So I don't know, we do have a couple other quick items of business today, if you want me to just dig into that, Senator.
Sure.
And probably start with LD 1880, which is one that I had emailed the committee about. LD 1880 was the original bill was about providing the cost of textbooks, and the majority of the committee had amended that into a resolve directing the Department of Education to convene a stakeholder group or a task force to continue studying this equity in and access to the early college programs. We did receive the fiscal note on this bill, which I'm going to bring up on my screen very quickly in case anyone did not have a chance to look at this. And I'll have to wait a minute for my Adobe to unfreeze. All right, there we go. So this is the fiscal note for LD 1880, which you can see indicates that the Department of Education would need $6,600 in a one-time general fund appropriation to convene the stakeholder group and do this work. I had emailed when I received the fiscal note, the chairs and leads of this committee, who are all on the majority report, because I knew there was a chance of us meeting today and wanted to see if they wanted to ask permission to discuss it today, which they did, which is why we are here discussing it today. And also, after conversations with them, reached out to the community college system and the University of Maine system, who the department was supposed to collaborate with in convening the stakeholder group. And they indicated that they think they could convene the stakeholder group without the appropriation. They did express a desire that should they be required to do so, that when the report is due next session, that not only do they submit the report, but they would actually want to include in the actual resolve that they be able to present the report to this committee, which the committee could include. And then there was also a suggestion of including in this convening the Maine Independent Colleges Association to examine and explore their role in the early college process as well. So I bring that all up for your consideration on this particular bill and how you want to address this fiscal note.
Thank you. Representative Stearns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My recommendation is that we do drop the fiscal note. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to the college and university folks. It may well be that there are monies available from the same source that provided the study that and the work that's ongoing. I'm afraid if we keep the fiscal note on, it may get buried on the appropriations table somehow, and the work wouldn't go forward. I do, however, commend the DOE for pointing out to legislators that these things cost money. And I respect them for bringing that forward, that there are costs involved in doing these things. So I'm hoping that we can drop the note and the resources will be found. I do think it's a good idea to provide a presentation or a report back in the resolve. And I also think it's a good idea to include the independent colleges in this work.
Thank you very much. Any other comment? Is anyone? Yes, Representative Dodge, followed by Representative Brennan.
You're muted.
I'm gonna go to Representative Brennan first then, and you can work through your issue if you could.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty. And I agree with everything that Representative Stern said. And yesterday I did have a chance to speak with Samantha Warren from the university, and she's amenable and they're amenable to make these changes.
Thank you, sir. Representative Dodge?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, I was frozen there for a moment. Could perhaps Ms. Risler remind me about the extent to which the independent colleges are offering early college to high school students? Do we have any idea about the extent to which that happens, please?
I can answer that in a very limited way. I did speak with Mr. Walker about that, who represents the independent colleges. And he says Bates College and a number of the other private have long and extensive histories of doing early college, which was Representative Dodge. I didn't know that. So it was a revelation to me when he told me that.
Anything else there? All right, so Representative Stearns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if you need a motion of some type to make those changes, or if Hillary's kind of, if we can just provide that informal direction and go forward that way.
I don't know that process, but I think the recommendations are good ones. So let's, I'll ask her, and she knows more about the formality side of that.
So I guess what I'd say, I've said sometimes before in this committee, when it comes to whether it's a reconsideration or not, I look to the committee. Certainly this is changing who would convene the group. But if everybody who is on that report tells me that that was your intent all along, then that is what I would do.
That was clearly our intent.
I'm sure it was. We had that conversation privately. We just forgot to broadcast it.
And obviously we didn't convey that adequately to you. And now we did.
Representative Stearns?
But with that said, I'm very glad that as part of our language review, we've touched on those items and made those corrections.
Right, and so you will see this one final time. Obviously, we'll make these corrections in the language, ask for a revised fiscal note, and that you will receive via email. I think at this point, based on my conversations, it will likely indicate that the Public Higher Education Coordinating Committee will convene the stakeholder group, which consists of University of Maine system and the community college system, that they'd work in collaboration with Maine Independent Colleges Association. And then I'm assuming that you also intended that even if the department isn't convening the stakeholder group, you would also like them to be invited to participate. Great.
Thank you.
Then I will take care of that. And that is done. Oh, sorry, and then include that just that brief language about having them present the report. Although I will, of course, caution that the next year's new legislatures committee would not necessarily be bound by that, but you can certainly indicate that that is your intent. So the next thing I'd like to touch on briefly, we spoke last Wednesday about the racial impact statement for LD 270, which was the regional adjustment. Right. And so a couple of people did email me some thoughts, and so I wanted to just pull that up for you, go through it, see if there are any additional thoughts or concerns or questions that anyone wants to raise. And then if not, I'll work with the chairs to finalize that memo for you. But since this is likely our last meeting, I wanted to make sure I took the opportunity. So here is the draft memo. So I did not, for the first question was whether the time frame in which it was provided was useful, or whether receipt of the statement at a different point in time might have proven more useful. I generally indicated before that the bill was carried over in committee and that the committee likely would have worked it a little bit earlier in session had you not been waiting for the racial impact statement. I did receive a couple comments via email that ultimately, because of the substance of the bill itself, the committee did not feel that the report would have been more useful at a different time. Is there anyone who would like to add anything or doesn't feel that accurately represents your feelings on the statement? Not hearing any. On the second question, it was how much additional time did the committee devote to discussion and consideration of the bill? Again, I had noted that because of the complexity of the subject matter, that really the committee spent as much time, if not more, on discussions related to the regional adjustment itself. And so it didn't seem that there was any additional comments, unless anyone has any now on that piece. Not hearing any. The third question was whether information provided in the racial impact statement served to advance discussion of the bill in committee. And I did receive some input on this over email, so I want to read this through to you and make sure I got it accurately, as well as make sure everybody sees it. Again, because of the complexity of the subject matter of the bill, because the statement found that the proposed bill has a neutral impact on inequities among historically disadvantaged racial populations, the information in the preliminary racial impact statement did not greatly advance discussion of the bill in committee. But some members of the committee noted that as it specifically pertains to LD 270, a focus on low socioeconomic rather than racial populations may have shown a measurable negative effect on equity to this larger group of students, and that racial, indigenous, and tribal populations would therefore be negatively affected as a key subset of that group. However, ultimately, the committee found that this was a particularly difficult bill with which to address any potential racial impacts because of the ripple effects of the EPS school funding formula, and that members of the committee expressed that there may have been other bills under the committee's jurisdiction during the 130th legislature that would have been better vehicles for this pilot process. Are there any questions or concerns or anything anyone wants to add or clarify on that? Not hearing any. The fourth question was whether any information provided in the statement influenced the development by the committee of amendments to the bill. I did note that the committee ultimately decided to pass a study on the impacts of the adjustment, but that the committee did not feel that the statement influenced the development of the amendment. And then last but not least, again, whether the information had an impact on the committee's vote, and I did not hear from anybody that the committee felt that the statement had an impact on the committee's vote. So is there anything last but not least that anybody wants to say about the process or wants to add in the memo in your communication back to Legislative Council? Not hearing any, then I will work to finalize that, correct any typos that I may have missed so far, and then we'll send that along on your behalf from the chairs. And then last but not least, early this morning, I did receive fiscal notes on the CDS committee bill. And so since this is likely the last time we have a chance to meet, I wanted to double check for those on the majority and on the ought to pass as amended minority, if there are questions or concerns or anything you want to clarify on the fiscal notes.
How much was the fiscal note?
It doesn't give a dollar amount. It gives a narrative of what the bill does, and that the intent is for the cost to be covered, but it doesn't give a dollar amount.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Obviously, the language of those provisions are still going through processing, and you will finally see these again before they get reported out, although that may be a very quick turnaround when the time comes, depending on how late it is.
Thank you. Representative Millette has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Risler, can you help me understand why OFPR did not believe the transference of FAPE to school districts was not a mandate? Thank you.
Sure. I think this goes back to some of that additional language that was included during language review, that if the funding is not provided at 100% of FAPE and child find, that the school administrative units would not have to take on that provision. And so when you're talking mandate, you're talking that, the state may not require that a local unit of government expand or modify their activities so as to necessitate additional expenditures. So in this case, to the extent that that language provides that they will not have to have those additional expenditures, that's why it would not be flagged as a mandate.
So way back when I was introduced into the world of mandates, it's my understanding that my experience, in fact, is that OFPR has said this is a potential mandate, and then would say that there's language that would fund this. So I do have to share that I'm really surprised that OFPR in this instance did not follow similar procedure. I mean, I do recognize and support the decision to say we are going to fund 100% of this mandate, but that in past experiences, that's what's been in the fiscal note. It says potential mandate, and then there's the bill provides funding for the mandate.
So, I mean, I guess the only thing I would say in this particular case is because the language very explicitly says that they would not have to do this. That is why it was not flagged in this case.
Note to self, study that language and commit it to memory. Thank you.
Any additional questions, folks, at this time? No? Thank you, Hillary.
Well, thank you. I will, obviously, there are a few bills that have not yet been reported out of committee. We are moving them along as fast as we can, but I will warn you as soon as I have them ready, I'll be sending them out for email language review. So please keep an eye out for those. And I do apologize in advance. You will be looking at some very quick turnaround times. And there's always a chance that if something is found that needs to be corrected, it may be more likely to happen as a floor amendment to keep it moving. So I simply just ask that you make sure you keep an eye out and respond quickly if there is an issue, so that I can work with the chairs to figure out how best it can be addressed.
Thank you. Senator Woodson.
Yes. Is this bill still in the revises, or have they given us an LD number yet?
It's still processing. It does not have an LD number yet.
Okay. Yep.
I have received some questions for that LD number. So my hope is as soon as we get it reported out, to send an email out to the IP list as well as to you, so that everybody does have that LD number and can track it.
Thank you.
Any other matters?
Just for Senator Rafferty, just for the committee's information, I'm trying to remember what day it is. Wednesday, Monday, Senator Rafferty and I and Ms. Risler attended a committee meeting of Judiciary Committee because there had to be a judicial review of 1727, which is Senator Jackson's sexual assault bill. And the part that has to do with confidential advisors, there had to be a review in regards to information that they could have, couldn't have, and whatever. So after an hour and a half of being there, they decided they didn't have a quorum and they adjourned before doing the review. And they have scheduled us for Friday at 10 o'clock to go back again, and said that they will, or we have said we'll hold them to the 10 o'clock scheduling. It's not that we just show up at 10 o'clock, but we're on for discussion at 10 o'clock. So I just want to make the committee aware of that. I don't know how that judicial review will go. I've had some indication that there may be some opposition to it, and I don't know what that means in terms of ultimately how the bill proceeds. This is a new process to me, and I think probably Senator Rafferty. And for once in the 4 years that I've known Ms. Risler, she has said that she has used the word "not sure." So, which doesn't increase my confidence level, very much. So anyway, I just want to let the committee know that, and that we're still trying to go through that process.
Yeah, I know, Representative, I pushed for 10 o'clock myself as well. I mean, based on my schedule for the rest of the day, I've got something going on at 12 for sure.
Right.
So,
yep.
Hopefully we'll be good.
And Representative McCray, was there anything that you wanted to?
No, not really. I'm on the MEPRI steering committee, and we're meeting at noon. We've done a preliminary priority thing, but it's all going to come back to the committee from MEPRI to weigh in on our priorities.
Thank you. And I was wondering if there's anything else that you wanted to do before we concluded our business today.
Well, I was just checking. Oh, well, I was aware of this. Okay, and I just checked with Eli to see if we were still Representative, to see if we were still on Zoom statewide, and if that's okay to go to proceed, I will.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Well, Hillary and Eli, I have two little bags of things that I am present to you. The committee really appreciate everything you've done for us. You are both spectacular. We wish that the guidelines weren't so stringent so that we could do more. But just know that if we could, we would. The cards are all signed, as you may guess what I'm about to do. The cards are all signed, and we are missing Representative Lyman. She was not here yesterday, nor is she here today, but she is part of this. So if you see her name missing, it isn't because she wasn't supportive. It's just because we didn't get her to sign the cards. So I know I'm speaking for all of us. You have kept us on track and done extremely well. I can't believe how well you do. So, and I'm sure I'm speaking for all of us. So, thank you, Representative Brennan. That's not what I thought I was going to have to do that after the meeting because it was on statewide broadcast. Anyway.
Representative McCray, thank you very much. Hillary, Eli, thank you very much. One of the bad parts about being statewide, I don't like this type of information to get out because I don't want to lose these folks, moving forward. And
well, I think they need a few more years to perfect their trade to the, so we should keep them and help them.
There you go. Yeah, they've got to be anchored down in the education room. So,
right.
But really, it's we're very grateful for all the work you do. I know this has been this year just as challenging as last in terms of the Zoom process, and I know that you've been very patient with me. I'm still finding my way through all of this, and I'm going to be able to use that again next year because I'll not know what it means to be in a committee room with actually live hearings. So that'll be a whole new learning curve. But no, we're very grateful for all that you folks have done for us. You've been there every step of the way and help us manage very successful meetings. And we got through a lot of legislation. And that is, a credit to both of you as well as the committee as a whole. So we made a great team, And, it's been awesome to work with all of you. I know from my standpoint, especially, it's been great. So.
And Senator Rafferty, I want to thank Representative Dodge for her efforts in coordinating everybody and making sure that we were able to, at least in a limited way, show our appreciation for Eli and for Hillary. And unfortunately, we are restricted in terms of the dimensions of or the size of the gift that we can provide or recognition. And I don't want you to think that the monetary restrictions that we have reflect the deep affection and gratitude that we have for all the work that you've done this session. And Eli, I was just out in the Senate yesterday, and I had a chance to talk to Maddie and also Eloise Vitelli, and they said that Sam Baker is working out quite well. And I'm hopeful that we'll find a suitable position for you going forward as well. And you've just done a great job and been a great stepped in right in the middle of the session. And we have not missed a beat, and it's been a seamless transition. So thank you very much. And I wish you well with the, you're going to take the bar exam, right?
I have taken the bar exam.
Oh, you are? Yeah, okay. You're waiting for the results, right?
Yes.
Well, we hope that they're favorable. And if there's, I don't think there's any way we can intervene in terms of influencing the results, but if you do need anything, please let us know. And,
thank you. I appreciate that.
And I know the committee knows this, but we certainly are planning on scheduling meetings, probably one in June, probably one in the summer, and then, in the fall. And so it will not be the last time that the committee will be meeting.
Thank you, Representative. I have Senator Daughtry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to put a shout out that the Senate Majority Office is hiring. If anyone knows, no strong hints towards anyone on the Zoom, but I did also want to say I'm glad I was able to make it back at least for part of the last meeting. And just wanted to say I always enjoy being a part of this committee, and wish I could have been here more during this session. So.
Well, Senator Daughtry, Representative Stearns is term limited out.
Oh my goodness.
That's true. If you could send an application, I'd appreciate that.
I mean, I can give you a pretty strong recommendation for working with you. And, oh my goodness, I cannot believe you're termed out. I don't know where the last 8 years went. Crazy.
Yeah. So does that mean you're truly retired now, sir?
Yes, sir.
Wow. I have the wheels on the bus go round and round.
I may go back to my bus driving career. That's correct.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all so much. It has been really, really a pleasure, especially given the difficulties of the past 2 years to be staffing this committee. It's truly been a wonderful time and a wonderful honor. For those of you who will be back for the next legislature, I look forward to seeing you. For those who are not, please, anytime you're in Augusta, stop by and say hello, because it has been wonderful to work with all of you. So thank you very much.
And Senator Woodson is also termed out as well, sir?
I am, and it should be interesting going forward.
Yeah, well.
But you're running for the House, right?
I am, yes.
Well, well, thank you as well for your work with us, through this session. I know you're my sit to the left of me in chamber, which is good. It's nice to have you there. But most importantly, I appreciate your work you've done with us for the last 2 years. And beyond that, as well. So, and I wish you much luck moving forward.
Well, I've appreciated working with you and Representative Brennan and the whole group. So thank you.
Thank you. Folks, have a great afternoon. Hillary and Eli, again, thank you so much. Appreciate it.